The blue planet spun quietly in the darkness of space. From a distance, it looked peaceful. But on its surface, humans worked day and night, building something that would change the galaxy forever. In a large room with tall windows looking out at the stars, 12 alien beings sat around a curved table. They were the Galactic Council, rulers of most of the known universe. Their skin colors ranged from deep purple to pale green. Some had 4 arms, others had wings, and a few had eyes that could see into the future. Councillor Zax Thor, with his gray skin and 3 yellow eyes, tapped a button on the table. A hologram of Earth appeared in the center of the room. Next on our agenda is Observation Report G7721, regarding the primitive planet in Sector 8. Zax Thor said with a bored voice. The natives call it Earth. They are still burning fossil fuels and fighting among themselves. I vote we continue observation only. A smaller alien with blue scales raised a hand. The report shows they've developed basic space travel. Perhaps we should. Basic? They can barely reach their own moon. Zax Thor laughed. They're centuries from being worthy of our attention. I have trade agreements with the Xorlian Empire to discuss. Let's not waste time on primitives. The council voted quickly, with only 2 members disagreeing. Earth would remain under observation only. No contact. No help. No recognition. Unknown to the council, their observation post near Earth had been getting lazy. The aliens stationed there had been watching humans for too long. They filed the same reports year after year. Humans advancing slowly. Nothing important to report. They didn't notice what was happening in a secret underground base in Nevada. Daniel Mitchell wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the engine in front of him. It was unlike anything ever built on Earth. As NASA's top astronaut, he had been chosen to test the new technology. Sam, are you sure this will work? He asked. Samantha Rogers didn't look up from her computer. Her fingers typed quickly as numbers and formulas filled the screen. Her red hair was tied back, and dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. The math checks out, she said. This engine breaks all the rules we thought couldn't be broken. It doesn't just bend space. It folds it completely. Daniel walked around the strange engine. It glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to pull at him, like it wanted to take him somewhere far away. And the government is okay with us testing this? He asked. Sam finally looked up. They don't have much choice. The asteroid mining station went dark 3 weeks ago. The video feed before it cut showed something attacking it. Something not from Earth. Daniel's face turned serious. You think aliens destroyed our mining station? Why hasn't this been on the news? Global panic wouldn't help anyone. Sam said. We need to know what's out there. That's why we're launching next week. On the other side of the base, General Frank Thompson watched workers put final touches on a massive ship hidden underground. Unlike the small rockets the public knew about, this ship was built for war. The words U.S. Defiant were painted on its side. How many can it carry? He asked the scientist next to him. Crew of 50, the scientist answered. It has the new engines, shields based on the technology we found in Antarctica, and weapons systems unlike anything we've built before. But sir, we're still not sure what we're up against. The general's face was grim. That's why we're sending our best. Mitchell and Rogers will find out what happened to our mining station, and the Defiant will be ready if they find trouble. Far above Earth, in their observation post, the aliens played card games and filed their reports without looking. They never noticed the energy readings from the new engine. They never saw the massive underground shipyard. The Galactic Council had ignored Earth. Earth was about to make sure that was the last mistake they ever made. The stars streaked past the windows of the U.S. Defiant as it pushed through space, faster than any human ship before it. Captain Alex Nichols sat in the command chair, his eyes fixed on the main screen. After 3 weeks of travel, they were approaching Alpha Centauri, the nearest star system to Earth. Dropping out of faster-than-light travel in 30 seconds, announced the pilot, Susan Martinez. Her hands moved confidently over the controls. The crew of 25 was silent. They were the first humans to travel this far, and each felt the weight of history on their shoulders. "Communications ready, Captain," said Olivia Bennett, her fingers hovering over her station. "Ready to broadcast our greeting message in all frequencies." Alex nodded. "Let's hope someone friendly hears it." The ship slowed, the streaking stars becoming steady points of light again. A beautiful system with 2 stars and several planets appeared on the screen. "Scan complete," said the science officer, Eric Foster. "Third planet shows signs of civilization. Metal structures in orbit. Energy readings consistent with advanced technology." Alex took a deep breath. "Ms. Bennett, broadcast our message." Olivia pressed a series of buttons. "Broadcasting now. Greetings from Earth. We come in peace and friendship, seeking contact with our galactic neighbors." For 10 minutes they waited. The tension grew with each passing moment. "Captain, I'm detecting a ship approaching," Eric suddenly called out. "It's big. Much bigger than us." On the screen, a massive vessel appeared. It was purple and black, with sharp edges that made it look like a deadly weapon rather than a ship. Strange symbols covered its hull. "Getting a response to our message," Olivia said, her voice excited. She pressed her earpiece closer. Then her face fell. "Captain, I don't think they're friendly. They're ordering us to surrender immediately." Before Alex could respond, the alien ship fired. A beam of green energy hit the Defiant, making the whole ship shake violently. "Shields holding at 60%, shouted the tactical officer, Kevin Reese. "They're charging weapons again." Alex gripped his chair. "Evasive maneuvers. Ms. Bennett, keep broadcasting. Tell them we mean no harm." Susan piloted the ship in a tight spiral, avoiding the next blast. The crew worked frantically, trying to keep their ship intact. "Captain, I recognize those markings from our database," Eric said, his face pale. "They match what we saw attacking our mining station. They're Chlorlian." The Defiant rocked again as another hit landed. Sparks flew from a console, and smoke filled the bridge. "Shields at 30%. We can't take much more," Kevin yelled. Alex made a quick decision. "Ms. Bennett, send everything we have back to Earth. All our data, all our scans, and what's happening now. Use the quantum communicator." Olivia worked quickly. "Sending now, Captain." In the engine room, Jack Collins watched in horror as systems failed around him. The new propulsion drive was overheating. He grabbed a toolkit and crawled under a panel, desperate to keep it running. "Just a little longer," he muttered as he worked. "Give the captain time." Back on the bridge, Alex saw the Chlorlian ship launch smaller vessels. "They're sending boarding parties," Kevin warned. "All hands, prepare to repel boarders." Alex ordered through the ship-wide comm system. This is not how first contact was supposed to go. The Defiant shuddered again as the Chlorlian ship locked onto them with a tractor beam. "Message sent," Olivia confirmed. "Earth will know what happened here." The main doors to the bridge burst open. Tall, purple-skinned aliens in black armor stormed in, pointing weapons at the crew. Their leader stepped forward, yellow eyes glaring at Alex. "You trespass in Chlorlian space. Primitive species. Your ship and crew are now property of the Chlorlian Empire." As the crew was forced to surrender, Alex caught Olivia's eye. She nodded slightly. The message had gone through. Earth would know, and Earth would respond. On their observation post near Earth, the alien monitors finally noticed something unusual, a quantum signal bursting from deep space. But by then, it was too late. The message had already reached Earth. The White House Situation Room was deadly quiet. President Eleanor Wright stared at the screen showing the final moments captured by the U.S. Defiant. Everyone watched as alien creatures stormed the bridge and took the crew prisoner. When the video ended, no one spoke for several seconds. Then President Wright stood up. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are at war," she said simply. "A war we didn't ask for, but one we must win." Around the table sat leaders from Russia, China, the European Union, and other major nations. For once, there were no arguments between them. The attack on the Defiant had united Earth in a way nothing else could. "What do we know about these Thorlians?" asked the Russian president. General Frank Thompson stepped forward. "Not much, but the Defiant sent back scans of their ship before the attack. Their weapons are powerful, but not unbeatable. Their shields work on principles similar to what we've been developing." "How many ships do they have?" asked the Chinese premier. "Unknown," Frank admitted, "but the scans suggest their technology level is only somewhat ahead of what we've secretly achieved. They're not gods. They can be fought." President Wright nodded. "Then we fight. I propose a united Earth Defense Force, pooling all our resources and technology." Everyone agreed. Earth's first interstellar war had begun. Across the planet, hidden facilities went into full production. The public wasn't told everything, but they knew enough. Humanity was in danger. The response was overwhelming. In a research lab deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Ryan Martinez studied the data from the Defiant scans. "Their shield technology has a weakness," he told his team of scientists. "Look at the frequency pattern. During weapon discharge, there's a millisecond fluctuation." His assistant looked doubtful. "Even if that's true, how do we exploit it? We'd need perfect timing." Ryan smiled. "That's why we build better computers, better targeting systems. We can do this." In training facilities worldwide, soldiers learned to use new weapons and tactics. Commander Lisa Sutton, who had led Navy SEAL teams in the past, now trained the first human Space Marine Corps. "Faster," she shouted as soldiers in new power armor suits ran the obstacle course. "Those aliens won't wait for you to catch your breath." Lisa pushed them harder than any human had been pushed before. They would need to be better, faster, and smarter to face the threat. In orbit around Mars, hidden from prying eyes, shipyards took shape. Giant 3D printers created hull plates while engineers installed engines and weapons. Admiral William Carter oversaw the building of 50 warships, each more advanced than the Defiant. "The flagship will be ready in 8 months, a young engineer told him. "The rest of the fleet, 3 months after that." William frowned. "Not good enough. Captain Nichols and his crew are prisoners right now. I want the fleet ready in 6 months. All of it." "Sir, that's impossible." "Make it possible," William said firmly. "Work in shifts. Use every resource. This is about the survival of our species." Back in the White House, President Wright met with Samantha Rogers. "The propulsion system worked perfectly," Sam explained. "Now we can prove it. The new ships will be twice as fast as the Defiant." "And weapons?" the president asked. "Based on what we learned from the attack, we've developed new options: focused plasma beams, kinetic railguns, and something special we call the Planet Cracker." President Wright raised an eyebrow. "Let's hope we never need to use that one." In secret bases on every continent, humans prepared for war. Old enemies became allies. Resources were shared. Technologies combined. In just 18 months, Earth built a fleet that should have taken decades. 50 warships, each carrying fighters and Marines, led by the massive flagship, the U.S. Intrepid. As Admiral Carter inspected the completed fleet, a message arrived from Earth's long-range sensors. The Thorlian ship that had captured the Defiant was returning to the Sol system. William smiled grimly. "Perfect timing. Prepare all ships for launch. Let's show these aliens what happens when you mess with humans." The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with polished stone and floating lights. Counselor Zax Thor sat at the center table, looking bored as he listened to the day's complaints. "Next case," he announced, checking the time. "The Xorlian Empire wishes to register a complaint about an unregistered species trespassing in their territory." A tall Xorlian diplomat stepped forward. His purple skin was decorated with military honors, and his yellow eyes narrowed as he spoke. "Honorable Council, A primitive ship from an unregistered world entered our sovereign space. We detained the vessel as is our right. We request official approval to claim this world as a resource planet under Xorlian control. Several council members nodded. This was routine. Unclaimed worlds were often given to empires that discovered them first. Thor waved his hand dismissively. Which planet are we discussing? The natives call it Earth in Sector 8, replied the Xorlian. A murmur went through the council. A blue-skinned female with silver hair stood up quickly. Earth is already on our monitoring list, she said. Ambassador Cleve of the Andorian Federation was known for defending weaker species. We've been observing them for centuries. Thor shrugged. Merely observation status. If they're venturing into space and causing trouble, perhaps the Xorlians should handle them. We should investigate first, Cleve insisted. If they've achieved faster than light travel, they deserve proper contact protocols. The council members argued back and forth. Finally, Thor made his decision. I don't have time for this minor issue. I'll assign junior diplomat Trenlox to investigate. If the planet is still primitive, the Xorlians may proceed with resource extraction. In another part of the council chamber, representatives from the Drakkar Alliance watched with interest. The reptilian beings were always looking for opportunities to expand their influence. Earth is at the edge of Xorlian territory, one whispered. If we support the humans, we could gain a foothold in that sector. His companion nodded. Send a scout ship. Let's see what these humans are really capable of. 2 weeks later, junior diplomat Trenlox approached Earth in a small diplomatic vessel. He was young for his species, with green skin that hadn't yet darkened with age. This was his first assignment, and he was eager to impress Thor. Scanning the planet now, he told his assistant, looking for signs of advanced technology. The scans showed cities, roads, and simple satellites, nothing that indicated faster-than-light capability. Strange, Trenlox muttered. How did they send a ship to Xorlian space? Perhaps it was a mistake in the report. He decided to land and investigate personally. His ship touched down in a remote area in North America. Trenlox stepped out, breathing the oxygen-rich air. Satisfactory atmosphere, he noted. Good mineral content in the soil. I can see why the Xorlians want this world. What Trenlox didn't know was that he was being watched. Hidden cameras tracked his every move. Deep underground, in the command center of Earth's defense forces, Admiral Carter and President Wright observed the alien visitor. Just one? Admiral Carter asked. No backup. They still think we're primitives, President Wright replied. Should we make contact? The Admiral shook his head. Not yet. Let him report back that we're harmless. That gives us the element of surprise. Meanwhile, on the Xorlian prison station near Alpha Centauri, Captain Alex Nichols and his crew were not being treated well. They were forced to work in mines alongside aliens from other captured worlds. In the evening, exhausted from labor, Alex sat with his crew in their cell. They think they've broken us, he whispered, but they don't understand humans. Jack Collins nodded while secretly working on a small device he built from stolen parts. 3 more days and I'll have our communicator working. If Earth received our message, help might already be on the way. Olivia Bennett looked up from tending to a wounded crewmate. We just need to stay alive until then. None of them knew that 50 Earth warships were already preparing to launch. The humans were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. Jack Collins wiped sweat from his forehead as he made the final connection in his homemade device. For 3 weeks, he had been stealing small parts from the Xorlian mining equipment. Each piece was carefully hidden and brought back to their prison cell. Is it ready? Captain Alex Nichols asked quietly. The other crew members gathered around, their faces thin from weeks of hard labor and poor food. Jack nodded. It should work, but we'll only get one chance. The power cell I stole won't last long. Olivia Bennett looked nervously at the cell door. The guards will be back in 20 minutes for the evening head count. Then we do it now, Alex decided. Jack, power it up. Jack connected the final wire. The small device hummed softly, and a tiny light blinked green. Jack smiled. We have a connection. It's searching for any human frequencies. For a tense minute, nothing happened. Then the device beeped. Jack's eyes widened. Captain, I'm picking up an Earth signal. It's right here in this system. Alex grabbed the device. Can we send a message? Already programmed. It's sending our location and prison schematics now. On the other side of the Xorlian prison complex, in a completely different cell block, a tall, blue-skinned alien pressed his face to the small window in his door. Kelvac was the son of Ambassador Cleve of the Andorian Federation. He had been captured 2 years ago, while on a scientific mission. Kelvac watched as something unusual happened in the prison yard. The guards were running, shouting orders. Alarms began to sound throughout the complex. Something's coming, he whispered to his cellmates. High above the prison moon, 50 Earth warships appeared out of faster-than-light travel. On the bridge of the U.S. Intrepid, Admiral William Carter stood calmly as his crew prepared for battle. All ships in position, reported his tactical officer. Xorlian defense grid is powering up. William nodded. Begin jamming their communications. Launch fighters. Tell Commander Sutton her Marines are cleared for drop. Across the fleet, bay doors opened. Hundreds of small, sleek fighter craft poured out. Behind them came the dropships carrying Commander Lisa Sutton and her Space Marines. Remember your training, Lisa told her troops over the comm. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we get our people out. The Xorlian guards never expected an attack. Their prison was deep in their territory. No one had ever dared challenge the Xorlian Empire before. The first warning they had was when the human fighters destroyed their defense cannons. The second warning was the sight of dropships landing in the prison yard. By the third warning, human Marines in powered armor breaking through the main gates, it was too late. In their cell, Alex and his crew heard the explosions and gunfire. That's our rescue, Alex said with a grim smile. Everyone ready to move. The cell door suddenly melted, the metal turning red then white before falling away. A figure in bulky armor stood in the doorway. Captain Nichols, asked a woman's voice from inside the armor. Commander Lisa Sutton, Earth Defense Force. We're here to take you home. As they moved through the prison, Lisa explained the situation. We're freeing everyone, not just humans, all prisoners. Alex nodded in approval. The Xorlians have been enslaving pre-contact civilizations. The Council needs to know. They reached a large chamber where hundreds of aliens from dozens of species were being gathered by human Marines. Among them was Kelvac, who stepped forward when he saw the humans. You are from Earth? He asked in broken English. My father told me of your world. Who is your father? Alex asked. Ambassador Cleve of the Andorian Federation. She stands for you in council. Jack Collins, who had been checking the other prisoners for injuries, looked up. Captain, if his father is on the council. Alex understood immediately. Can you get a message to your father? Show what the Xorlians have been doing here. Kelvac nodded. I have recorded everything. 2 years of evidence. Lisa tapped her helmet. Admiral Carter, we have something that might change the galaxy. Requesting priority extraction for a VIP. Above the prison, the human fleet had smashed the Xorlian defenses. The evidence of their crimes was about to be exposed to the entire galaxy. The Xorlian commander Vrelkaz paced the bridge of his flagship. Reports of the human attack flooded in from all directions. His yellow eyes narrowed to slits as rage built inside him. How dare these primitives? He hissed. Summon the fleet. All ships. We will crush these humans and make an example of their world. His officers rushed to obey. Across Xorlian space, warships changed course and headed toward Proxima Centauri, where the human fleet still held position around the former prison moon. On the U.S. Intrepid, Admiral William Carter received the news with a calm smile. Xorlian reinforcements expected in 6 hours, sir, reported his sensor officer. At least 30 ships, possibly more. Good, William said, surprising his crew. Let them come. All ships maintain position. In the medical bay, Captain Alex Nichols and his crew were being treated for their injuries. Nearby, Kelvac worked with Earth technicians to prepare his evidence for transmission. This will broadcast to every council world, the technician explained. Once it goes out, everyone will know what the Xorlians have been doing. Kelvac nodded. My father suspected, but had no proof. This will change everything. Alex joined them, looking healthier after treatment. What about the other prisoners? The ones who aren't from council worlds? We've offered them asylum on Earth, said Commander Lisa Sutton as she entered the room. She had removed her armor but still carried her sidearm. Most have accepted. Some want to join our fight. On Earth, President Eleanor Wright addressed the United Nations. The full truth was finally being shared with the public. For decades, we've known we weren't alone, she told the assembled leaders. Now we're facing our first interstellar conflict. But we aren't just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for all species that have been exploited by the Xorlians with the Council's blind eye. Across the planet, humans watched and listened. Instead of panic, there was determination. Earth united fully behind its fleet. Back in space, the Xorlian armada arrived. 40 warships, their weapons hot, faced the human fleet of 50 ships. They still outnumber us, Vrelkaz told his officers with a smirk. These humans think their little rescue means something. They have no idea how to fight in space. His communications officer interrupted. Commander, the humans are hailing us. Put them on screen. Let me explain their doom to them. Admiral William Carter appeared on the Xorlian view screen. He sat relaxed in his command chair. This is Admiral William Carter of Earth. You are ordered to stand down and surrender to face justice for your crimes. Vrelkaz laughed, a harsh sound. You are the criminals. Trespassing. Attacking an Imperial facility. Your species will pay with enslavement. William shook his head. We studied your tactics from the data the Defiant sent back. You rely on overwhelming force and intimidation. But humans don't work that way. We adapt. He signaled to someone off-screen, and the transmission ended. Empty threats. Vrelkaz sneered. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Destroy them. The Xorlian fleet moved forward in a tight formation. Their weapons charge, ready to fire as one overwhelming force. The human ships didn't move. They seemed to be waiting. Sir, said the Xorlian sensor officer with confusion, the human ships are powering down their main weapons. Vrelkaz smiled. They surrender. They see our might and... Wait, interrupted the officer. They're powering up something else. Something our sensors don't recognize. On the Intrepid, William gave the order. All ships, deploy shield disruptors. Target their command ships first. Hundreds of small devices launched from the human ships. They sped toward the Xorlian fleet faster than their tracking systems could follow. What are those? Demanded Vrelkaz. He got his answer when the devices attached to Xorlian hulls and pulsed with blue energy. Ship after ship reported shield failures. Impossible. Vrelkaz shouted. How did they know the resonance frequency of our shields? William's voice came through on all Xorlian channels. Like I said, we adapt. Now, surrender or face the consequences. In response, Vrelkaz ordered all ships to fire, but it was too late. The human fleet had already launched its fighters, and Earth Marines were boarding the defenseless Xorlian vessels. The Battle of Proxima Centauri had begun, and the humans were winning. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was filled to capacity. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as the emergency session began. News of the human victory over the Xorlian fleet had spread across the galaxy. Councillor Zax Thor looked uncomfortable as he called the meeting to order. Beside him, Ambassador Cleva sat with her son Kelvac, recently rescued from the Xorlian prison. The Council recognizes the representatives from Earth, Zax Thor announced. Daniel Mitchell and Samantha Rogers walked to the center of the room. They wore simple blue uniforms with the Earth flag on their shoulders. Neither had expected to become diplomats when they first worked on the new propulsion system. "Honored Council," Daniel began, "we come before you not seeking war, but justice." Samantha activated a device they had brought. Holographic images appeared, showing the Xorlian prison and the mistreatment of captives. "For years, the Xorlian Empire has been enslaving developing worlds," she explained. "Worlds that should have been protected by this council." The chamber erupted in shouts. Some council members demanded proof. Others called for immediate action against the Xorlians. Kelvac stood. "I lived as a prisoner for 2 years. I recorded everything." He activated another device, and more images appeared. "The Xorlians have enslaved at least 12 developing civilizations, all with the council looking the other way." Zax Thor tried to regain control. "These are serious accusations, but the humans attacked Xorlian ships unprovoked. After they captured our first vessel without warning," Daniel interrupted. "After they planned to enslave our entire planet." From the back of the chamber, Commander Vrulkaz was brought forward in restraints. Earth Marines had captured him during the battle. "Tell them," Samantha demanded. "Tell them about your empire's slave trade." Vrulkaz sneered. "We take what we want from primitive worlds, and the council has always allowed it, for the right price." The chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to Zax Thor, who suddenly looked very afraid. Ambassador Kleva stood up. "I call for an immediate vote of no confidence in Councillor Zax Thor and an investigation into council corruption." The vote was quick and overwhelming. Guards led Zax Thor away as he protested his innocence. "What happens now?" Daniel asked Ambassador Kleva. "Now," she said with a smile, "we rebuild the council as it should be." As the session continued, several races, led by the Andorians, officially recognized Earth as a spacefaring civilization with full rights. Later that day, in a smaller meeting room, Captain Alex Nichols and Admiral William Carter sat with representatives from a dozen worlds that had been victims of Xorlian exploitation. "Earth offers its protection," William told them, "and assistance rebuilding your societies." A small green-skinned alien spoke up. "Why would you help us? You don't know us." Alex smiled. "Because it's the right thing to do. And because united, we're stronger." On the Intrepid, the crew celebrated. Their victory had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. Earth was no longer ignored. It was respected, and in some quarters, feared. Junior diplomat Trenlox, who had so badly misjudged Earth's capabilities, approached Lisa Sutton as she watched the stars from an observation deck. "Commander," he said nervously, "I wish to apologize for my people's mistakes. I never wanted war." Lisa nodded. "Few people ever do. That's why we need to build something better. I've requested assignment as liaison to Earth." Trenlox told her, "I want to learn from humans." 6 months later, President Eleanor Wright stood before the newly formed Galactic Alliance. Earth had become a founding member, along with the Andorian Federation and several other peaceful civilizations. "Today marks a new beginning," she told the assembled representatives. "A galaxy where developing worlds are protected, not exploited, where cooperation replaces conquest." As the ceremony concluded, Admiral William Carter stood with Trenlox on a balcony overlooking the massive space station that served as Alliance headquarters. "It's remarkable how quickly things change," Trenlox observed. "Just 1 year ago, the Council ignored Earth." William smiled. "And now?" "Now," Trenlox said, watching diplomatic ships come and go, "when anyone hears the word human, they listen very carefully." William nodded, looking out at the stars where Earth ships now traveled freely. "That's all we ever wanted, to be heard."